Welcome to this brief guide on using regex functions in Excel. If you've ever cleaned a column of phone numbers with substitute nested inside substitute, so one for dashes, one for dots, and one for brackets, you'll already know the pain that I'm going to talk about. Or maybe you've built a wall of nested mid and find formulas just to pull a code apart, and the second one entry is a character longer than you expected, the whole thing falls over. Well, Excel has quietly picked up native regular expression support with three functions: REGEXTEST, REGEXEXTRACT, and REGEXREPLACE. Now, a quick aside before I jump into everything here, the pattern writing that you're going to see here works pretty much the same in Python, JavaScript, and a bunch of other tools. So it's not just a skill to be stuck inside a spreadsheet, which is a nice bonus, but it's not why we're here. Here's what we're actually doing. I've got a proper, messy customer order export here in front of me. Order IDs that don't follow the format they're supposed to, phone numbers in about 5 different styles, and a product code that's really 4 separate pieces of information jammed into one string. I'm going to clean the whole thing using nothing but these 3 functions, one problem at a time. So let's get into it. Right, every order ID in this export is supposed to follow a strict format: 3 uppercase letters and then 4 digits. If I look down the column, I'll see that a few obviously don't, but you're not going to catch all of them by eye once you're a few hundred rows in. The old way would be a pile of len checks and ISNUMBER and mid stitched together with an AND. Regex though, it's one simple line. Just like this. Now it's worth actually reading this pattern because this bit's the real skill, not the function name. The caret at the start and the $ at the end are our anchors. They mean that the whole string has to match, start to finish, not just have the right shape buried somewhere in the middle. A to Z 3 is exactly 3 capital letters. 0 to 9, 4 is exactly 4 digits. That's the entire shape of a valid order ID, described in about 15 characters. And as you can see when I hit enter, it says true. Now if I fill this down the entire column, every order ID that's too short, too long, lowercase, or whatever will be flagged as false straight away. And that is going to save me a ton of time when I've got hundreds, if not thousands of order IDs to filter through. Now the second one, and this is the one that actually got me, that product code, something like 2026 Q3 APJ HW, isn't one value. It's 4 pieces of information mashed together. So year, quarter, region, and category. The old way would be 3 or 4 separate left, mid, and right formulas, each counting a fixed number of characters away from a fixed starting point. But if one code in the column is a character longer than the rest, then every single one of those formulas will simply break. And you won't usually notice it until someone's report is wrong. However, regex handles this with what we call capture groups. They're bits of the pattern wrapped in their own parentheses, with each one grabbing a separate piece of the match. So, what our formula will look like is this. We have 4 sets of parentheses and 4 capture groups. The first one's 4 digits, so that's our year. And then the other 3 are 1 or more word characters each, separated by the dashes in between. So that'll be our quarter, region, and category. That trailing 2 on the end is an important bit though. It tells the REGEXEXTRACT formula, don't just give me the whole match as one lump. I want you to spill every captured group into its own column instead. So year, quarter, region, and category. One formula, but we get 4 clean fields, all done live. And because it's matching a shape rather than counting positions, it doesn't care if one code's longer than the next. If we were to change the length of any of these, it would still work. That's the exact case that breaks those left, mid, and right functions. And now here's our last one, and probably the most familiar problem of the three. Phone numbers, but every single one of them just about is in a different format. So there's dashes in some, dots in others, brackets around the area code in a few, and random spaces everywhere. REGEXREPLACE is basically find and replace, except it matches a pattern instead of one exact literal string. And the replacement can reference the pieces it captured. So our first job will basically be to strip out anything that isn't a digit. We'll do that using this function here. Now that caret inside the brackets flips the meaning. So instead of matching the digits, it matches anything that's not a digit. And then the second part of the function replaces that with nothing. And so then every dash, dot, bracket, and space will disappear in one go, whatever combination the original number happened to use. That's already better than the 5 nested substitutes, 1 per junk character. But here's the bit I actually like. Once it's clean, we can reformat it properly using our capture groups again. We'll do that using this function here. As you can see, we have 3 capture groups. We have area code, exchange, line number. And the replacement text references them straight back with $1, $2, and $3. We're not deleting or swapping anymore, we're actually just rearranging this into a different shape. And so as you can see, we take our cleaned up number in this function here, and we've converted those 5 different number formats all down to one uniform format. Now, there are 2 quick things before you go and rebuild your whole workbook around this new function. REGEXEXTRACT will throw a real not applicable error the instant nothing matches. Not a blank, an actual error. That's fine on the 40 rows we've been using here, where everything kind of matches. But it's a problem the day this hits real data and row 2000 doesn't match, because that error will then cascade into anything downstream that references that cell. So be sure to wrap it in an if error before this goes near production data, and you'll never notice it, except that it doesn't break. And availability. Microsoft 365 only at this point in time. It's basically the same story as most of the functions that are this new. The quickest way to check if you've got them, just try REGEXTEST on anything in an empty cell. You'll get a real true or false back, and then that means you're covered. If you get a name error, that means your version doesn't have it yet. So that's the whole export, fixed with only 3 function types. REGEXTEST flagged the order IDs that didn't belong. REGEXEXTRACT split 1 tangled product code into 4 clean fields that would have taken a wall of formulas the old way. And REGEXREPLACE turned 5 phone number formats into 1. The documentation page for all of this is linked in the description below, so definitely check it out and try it on some of your own messy columns, and I'll catch you in my next video. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, be sure to check out the channel, and if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.